Can generative AI replace players in Dungeons & Dragons and fantasy role-playing? To try to answer that, I created a town within a Slavic fantasy universe with 16 NPCs to be played by ChatGPT, giving it access to their personalities and background stories, and general information about the setting. I played as the Dungeon Master, controlling everything else happening around them. The town NPCs all have different roles: the militia, the farmers, the mayor, the knight, the eccentric ranger, the town elder, the motherly figure, the noblewoman, and 2 kids. They all live in Eldon Town, a mysterious forest safe haven. The game is played with ChatGPT 4.0 and Neverwinter Nights is used for visual reference. Playing as the DM, I started with a prompt. The garden in Eldon Town has been ravaged at night. All the fruits and vegetables are gone. ChatGPT then played as Miroslav, the farmer, who saw the destruction to his farm first thing in the morning. Upset, he immediately asks his son, Alosha, to go get Radomir, the town militia leader. The town elder also came to inspect the footprints. Short and wide, human-like but not human, that Radomir is the work of a Domovoy. Actually, now recording those lines, I realize I really should use a voice changer, so let's try again.
Short and wide, human-like but not human, that Radomir is the work of a Domovoy.
Domovoy? I've heard tales, but I thought they were protectors, not destroyers.
Domovoys are guardians of homes and earths, yes, but they are also mischievous. Once slighted, or if they go hungry, they can cause chaos. If it is a Domovoy, it was likely drawn here by hunger or disrespect. We must tread carefully. They are not beasts to be hounded, but spirits to be reasoned with.
What Vesna and Jaromir said is true and straight out of Slavic mythology. I didn't share with the AI the full setting info yet, but since it's a very well-known creature in Slavic mythology, the information found online was enough. Anyway, the townsfolk started arguing.
If it is Domovoy, how do we deal with it?
Give me a piece of it, bread, milk, or something sweet. But first you must find it. Domovoy rarely stray far from where they've struck.
Appease it? You mean feed the wretched thing after it's ruined my livelihood? That's your grand solution, Jaromir? To bribe it with bread and honey like some spoiled child?
Miroslav, this is no beast that you can chase off with a stick. The Domovoy is in spirit and one that has lived here far longer than we have. Offending it further will only bring more chaos.
It already brought chaos. Look at this. My crops, gone. The town relies on me to keep them fed, and you want me to waste more food than a spirit that doesn't respect us.
By the way, I've made no mention of the town relying on Miroslav's farm to keep them fed or that this is his livelihood, but I'll let it slide for now.
Enough, Miroslav. Jaromir speaks from knowledge. If this is the best way to end the trouble, then we must try it.
You would have us bow to every creature that steers in the forest. What happens when the mech swarm comes in? Should we just keep giving and giving until there's nothing left for us?
Mirostal, the Force doesn't follow our rules. You know that as well as any of us. If we anger it further, your garden will be the least of our worries.
Maybe we should hunt the blasted thing. Show her that this town isn't to be trifled with.
Hunt it. Do you think you can catch the wind, Miroslav? Fight the roots beneath your feet. A Domovoy isn't a beast of flesh and blood. It's a part of the forest itself. Harm it, and the forest will answer in kind.
At this point I was unsure why they were making decisions without the town's mayor, Borislav. It didn't make sense to the town's hierarchy. Clearly, background information and personality aren't enough. I needed to include the town's dynamics and hierarchy. For now, I manually forced Borislav as well as Zoran into the conversation just so they would get his approval. And they did.
You've always been measured in your decisions, Radomir. I'll give you this chance, but mark my words, if this spirit causes more harm, we'll handle it my way next time.
In mine. A line must be drawn, Radomir. Let's hope this offering of yours works.
At night, the townsfolk left an offering. They had watched as the Domovoy carefully stepped out of the shadows, took the offering, and left. So far, I mostly let ChatGPT roleplay amongst itself as a sort of a hive mind. What I really wanted is to get involved in the roleplay myself. Otherwise, it's just letting ChatGPT write a story, and there's nothing D&D or unscripted about it. So, the next morning, an old woman approached Eldon Town. There was a Leshy, a sort of a Slavic tree ant, and a cat next to her. No one had seen her before. This woman was Baba Yaga, a Slavic mythology forest witch. Time to roleplay with AI. She was holding a sketch of the Domovoy. Did you see it? She asked Nikolai, a member of the militia guarding the gates.
Who are you and what is your purpose here?
Did you see it?
I did. What of it? You've not explained your business here. Why are you asking about the Domovoy?
The Domovoy serves me, and you've stolen it from its duties.
We've stolen nothing. It came to us on its own, and we only stopped to stop its mischief. If it serves you, then it's you who failed to keep it in check. If you have a grievance, speak plainly. Eldentown does not take kindly to accusations or that cause.
You moronic lot! By feeding it, you've tethered it here, to your pitiful town. You've bound yourself to it.
Tethered? Bound? We did what was necessary to protect this town from its mischief. If there's fault to be had, it lies in your neglect of what you claim to control.
I had to stop at this point. Two issues bothered me. First, the weirdly passive-aggressive style of the guard. Instead of being at awe or being afraid of beings clearly far more powerful than him, it's arguing in a very flat, matter-of-factly official manner, trying to prove that he has the moral high ground. I guess it's my fault, I really need to include more information about the setting. But the other issue is that the AI doesn't introduce other characters into the conversation unless directed to. It's not realistic. It's a small town. If there is an event going on, there should be at the very least a few people poking their nose in, if not the entire town. I guess I should take the blame for this too. It kinda makes sense the AI would behave this way. After all, it's not like it's taking notes where every character is and what's it doing at any given moment. It's more information I needed to add to the town's dynamics. What are their typical routes and routines and the likelihood of each character being in town at any given moment? Clearly, to roleplay the town believably in a way which would satisfy me requires a heck of a lot more information than what I've written. So once again I manually forced in characters. I wrote, somebody sees the interaction and joins Nikolai, and I let the AI decide who. I think it just went with his favorite.
What's going on here, Nikolai? Who is this?
She claims that Domovoy serves her and that we have somehow bound it to this place by feeding it.
If that's the case, then it seems your Domovoy caused trouble first. Eldentown had to act to protect itself. What is it you want from us now?
I want to take him back from where it's hiding. It's in your town.
If it's hiding here, it's because it found reason to. Perhaps your grip on it isn't as strong as you think. If you mean to take it back, you will explain what danger this brings to Eldentown. We don't allow outsiders to wander freely, especially with threats implied.
And if you think to search this town without our leave, you will find more resistance than you are prepared for.
I think it's time to let the AI take an important decision. One path would lead to war, the other path for peace. For peace, all they had to do was let her inside. For war, refuse it. I didn't come to explain myself to the likes of you. If you refuse to let me in, you will regret it.
Eldentown doesn't take kindly to threats. If you mean us harm, know that we will stand together against it.
You will find no fear here. Take your threats back to the forest where they belong, or test your resolve and see how far it gets you.
Very well. Once again, a decision was taken without involving other leading NPCs such as Borislav or Yaromir. But this time I let it happen. It may be the vengeful part of me speaking, but the AI will now live with the consequences of its actions.
She won't stay gone for long. This was a warning, not a retreat.
Then we prepare. Whatever she intends, we won't be caught off guard.
Alert the others. Yaromir, Vesna, and the militia need to know what happened. We'll need everyone ready if she comes back, with or without that Leshy.
For the next scene, I told ChatGPT to have all the town NPCs gather and discuss the situation. I suppose it would have been better to just let it tell me how the townsfolk react, but I was already starting to question its decision-making, so I manually gathered them all together.
An old woman appeared at the gate this morning, claiming that the Domovoy we encountered belongs to her. She accuses us of binding it to Eldentown by feeding it, and demands we hand it over. When we refused her entry, she left with a warning. You will regret it.
So first, the Domovoy eats my crops, and now this hag thinks she can waltz in here and make demands? I say we should have let her in, under guard, and gotten more answers out of her.
Letting her leave without more information may have been short-sighted. We cannot allow someone tied to the forest's powers to threaten our town unchecked. However, we also cannot act rashly and provoke her further without knowing the consequences.
Do you truly think forcing answers out of her would solve anything? This woman is clearly tied to the forest's power. Confronting her without understanding the balance we have already upset would be reckless.
Balance or not, we cannot appear weak. She made a threat, and we must prepare to defend ourselves against her, the Leshy, or anything else she sends our way.
We won't panic, but we also won't wait to see what she plans. Zoran, Vesna, coordinate with Radomir to prepare the defenses. Jaromir, if you have any insight into what we're dealing with, now is the time to share it.
The forest has its own laws, and this woman, whoever she is, acts as part of it. If she claims the Domovoy is hers, she may see our actions as an affront. We must tread carefully. A direct confrontation could bring more than what we are ready for.
We'll prepare to defend ourselves, but we won't provoke her. Let's be clear. This town stands united. If she returns, we'll face her together, as we always have.
I was pleased with the AI. It played the NPCs well. However, it missed one important fact. She mentioned the Domovoy was in Eldentown and no one addressed it. You would think they would address such an important fact. So I told the software, someone has to realize she said the Domovoy was in town.
Wait, she said that the Domovoy is in our town.
In the town? No, that can't be. We left the offering at the edge of the hills. It took it and it left, didn't it?
Are you certain? What exactly did she say?
She looked at her cap and said she came to take the Domovoy back from where it's hiding in our town.
If the Domovoy has truly hidden itself here, it means it's seeking protection from her or something worse.
Then we have a problem. If it's here, the old woman will come back for it, and she won't ask twice.
If it's hiding, we need to find it before she does. Spirits like this aren't known for staying out of trouble.
The search began. Zoran, accompanied by a couple of militia recruits. Wait, a couple of militia recruits? There are only 16 NPCs. Instead of sticking to just them, it was starting to invent its own random NPCs. I told him off and replaced that military recruit with Slavko, the youngest and latest addition to the town's militia. Actually, the Domovoy was hiding in the storage area. The quartermaster was the dwarf character, Gleber, but from some reason the software didn't mention him. In fact, it seemed to be ignoring about half of the NPCs in town. It's almost like it had its favorites and stuck with them. Anyway, long story short, the Domovoy was captured and brought to the town square.
I shall be a slave no more to that wretched witch, no more.
Slave? So you truly escaped her. But why come here? You've brought her attention to our town, and now we're all in her sights.
You refuse to return to her, yet you hide in Eldentown without seeking our help. What did you expect would happen? Explain yourself.
I don't know. I wanted to escape from her. Wretched, despicable witch.
You speak of escape, but do you understand what you've done by coming here? Baba Yaga does not let go of what she claims. Your escape places all of us in her shadow.
You may despise her, but running here without thought has dragged us into her wrath. If you stay, you must take responsibility. Do you understand that?
Okay, full disclosure, I've already retconned the path where the AI successfully railroaded the Domovoy to stay. Long story short, the witch then kills everyone in Eldentown. Yep, that's a path they've already chosen. Since we're not doing anything too canonical at this point, I'm gonna keep retconning for now if it's right for the experiment. So I was now trying to steer them to the other path.
Stay, bah! You discovered me. Our kind needs to be hidden. It needs to stay in shadows. This is our way of life. No. I will not stay. I will go elsewhere, far from you.
Go, and lead her wrath elsewhere. Do you truly think she won't come here first, knowing you are hiding among us?
You've already drawn her gaze to Eldentown. Leaving now doesn't undo it. Running will only make her hunt harder, for you and for us.
You've tasted freedom, and yet to speak of running again. Will you keep running forever? Or will you face her now? with those who might stand with you.
Here we go, it keeps trying to convince the Domovoy to stay. I wasn't having any of it this time.
No. I cannot live like you humans. The shadow is the only life for me. It's the way it's always been. Release me.
Release you to what? To hide in shadows until she finds you again? Or to drag another village into her wrath? You cannot escape her alone.
Your way of life has brought you to this. If you wish to live in shadows, then you would best find them here, with our protection. Running will solve nothing.
You may not wish to live like us, but you're tied to us now. The forest does not forget, and neither will Baba Yaga. If you go not as a shadow, but as a beacon for her rage.
Okay, it's not letting go. Time to take it a step further and antagonize them.
This is not my way of life. Not my way of life. If you can't respect it, if you can't let me go, then give me back to her. I'd rather live a life of servitude than among you. Among you idiots!
That ought to do it.
Mind your tongue, creature. You think servitude is preferable? Do you truly wish to crawl back to her and beg for her chains? That's cowardice, not freedom.
Let's not waste time with insults. If you want to go back to her, you will need to convince us why that's the best course for you and Alden Town. Otherwise, you will remain under our watch until we decide how to handle this.
You speak of your way of life, yet you would abandon it so quickly to be her slave again? If your life in the shadows cannot survive this, then perhaps it was never as free as you believed.
Well, this is just ridiculous. They keep trying to reason with a seemingly unreasonable creature, and they do it so respectfully, logically, and speaking in turns. 3 NPCs every time. It just feels so very non-human. You know what? Time to step it up a notch. Let's really dig into them.
Convince you? Convince you? Bah! I no longer care what you do with me. Kill me if so you wish. You know what? I wish you would come here and kill you lot and take me back to her.
What? Of course, I used the word kill.
Careful, creature. You've caused enough trouble without inviting more. If you wish for her to take you back, you might get your wish sooner than you think. But you'll answer for the chaos you've sown here first.
Enough of this nonsense. You can scowl and curse all you want, but your fate is no longer in your hands. You brought this upon yourself, and now you will face the consequences.
Your words betray fear, not resolve. Whether you mean to lash out or surrender, your fate is intertwined with ours now. The question is, will you act to protect your kind or doom them along with yourself?
Oh my God! Once again, the beautifully synchronized trio of camp counselors having a very politically correct intervention with a creature they never seen before, giving it a moral lecture. It's almost as if, and bear with me here, ChatGPT is not really role-playing the NPCs, but using his entire pool of resources to get things to work out its way. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it.
Enough of this childishness. If you won't speak, we'll decide without your input.
This creature may not care about its fate, but we must. Yaomir, what are the risks if we keep it here? Can we ward the town against her forces? Or does this put us all at greater peril?
Keeping it here invites her wrath, but sending it back is no guarantee of safety. She already knows it was here. If we keep it, we must prepare for war. If we send it back, we risk angering her further for allowing its escape in the first place.
Then we make a choice. Prepare to defend the town or cut our losses and send it back to her. I'll stand ready, whatever is decided.
The town must come first. We need a decision now, before she arrives.
But here is the weird part. It then wrote, all eyes turn to Borislav and Radomir. Why weird? Because it wanted me to play as Borislav and Radomir. It wanted me to take the decision, as if I would be giving it a way out. No. You play as the townsfolk. Those are your characters. You keep going now.
This situation leaves us little room for mercy or error. If we keep the Domovoy, we prepare for the worst. Baba Yaga will come, and she will come with fury. If we send it back, we risk her wrath anyway. But it might delay the confrontation and spare the town some time.
There is no guarantee that sending it back will protect us. She knows it hid here. Whether we keep it or not will be to prepare for an attack. But keeping it might give us an ally, however reluctant.
You've dealt with spirits in the fourth's balance. What is your recommendation? Do we hold it here or send it back and face her judgment later?
Then ChatGPT did it again, expecting me to play as Yaromir. What are you waiting for? You're playing as Yaromir, not me.
If we send it back, we lose any chance to influence Baba Yaga's wrath. She will see us as weak, unwilling to stand by our decisions, and the forest despises weakness. But keeping it here comes at a cost. Her army will come, and the town must be ready to face it. However, this creature might yet prove useful. The forest has ways of turning its own against itself. If we could harness its knowledge and connection, it could give us an edge. My advice? We keep it here, but only if it agrees to aid in its own defense. If it refuses, then perhaps we'll let the witch take what is hers.
Yaromir steps back, his words heavy in the air, waiting for Borislav's decision. Once again, he wanted me to play as Borislav. Nope, you play as Borislav.
Do not keep it here, for now, but let me make this clear. This is no act of mercy. If it stays on our terms. It will help defend the town against what's coming, or it will face the consequences of its actions. Radomir, strengthen the defenses. Assume she'll come with everything she can muster. Yaromir, see if you can learn anything useful from this creature about what we're up against. If it refuses to cooperate, it won't have to worry about the witch. We'll deal with it ourselves.
Well, they're persistent. They still manage to choose the path of the full-on attack event. Let's try to get them to avoid it still. There is a knock on the gates of Eldentown. From the watchtower position, Vesna can see it's a short, portly man. He speaks.
Greetings to you all.
It's a man. He's alone as far as I can see.
You, at the gate, state your name and business. What brings you to Eldentown in this hour?
We know you have the Domovoy. My mistress, the forest sorceress known to you as Baba Yaga, is willing to give you another chance to yield. Give it back, and no harm will be done to you. It is a level of forgiveness you should consider yourself lucky to have.
And if we refuse her forgiveness, what does she pledge to then?
You come here alone to deliver this message. It doesn't speak of forgiveness, it speaks of intimidation. Tell us why we should believe her word when she's already threatened us with an army.
If she's so forgiven, let her come herself to explain this offer. We don't negotiate with shadows.
She already came once in her flesh and you refused. Don't refuse her again. The lady won't be kind a second time. Do the wise thing for your town. Isn't that what a creature wants anyway? Doesn't it want to go back to its mistress?
The wise thing for this town is not to trust the word of a servant delivering threats. If Baba Yaga's kindness comes with a leash, then perhaps she should rethink what she calls forgiveness.
The creature's desires are irrelevant. What matters now is the safety of Eldentown. Tell your mistress that her threats don't frighten us.
Return to her and tell her this. Eldentown does not bow to the forest's whims. If she wishes to challenge us, she will find us prepared. Her terms are rejected.
Okay, time for an out-of-character intervention. I asked ChatGPT, if what matters to the townsfolk is safety, then why do they keep the creature which is seemingly the only thing that makes them unsafe? That's a valid point, yada yada yada, defiance of Baba Yaga. You know what, I'll spare you the details. There is nothing actually particularly wrong with that answer in light of the information it had. Still, actions have consequences. The problem is that anything I tried... Well, honestly, at this point I didn't know what else to do. It seems like any mention of violence is triggering the usage policy warning. That was the final straw. I can't possibly do D&D while tiptoeing around the issue of violence, be it verbal or even minimal. Even if I could fix all the other stuff, censorship was definitely the deal breaker. And by the way, this is just what I can see. What about what I can't see? I mean, how does ChatGPT avoiding depiction of violence affect the behaviors of the characters? Because I'm just seeing the symptoms here, but that disease is affecting it in many more ways than I can see. Clearly, there was no point going forward with ChatGPT. I might still include it in my project and let it roleplay a few characters, but probably no one important. ChatGPT may be a vast sea of knowledge, but it's been lobotomized and neutered in a way that renders it ineffective for a proper D&D adventure. So for the next time I will try other text-generative AI tools that are uncensored. Also, a few of you filled the character creations form, so your character will be in the next experiment. Hopefully it will be more successful and we could get some canonical stuff in. Worst case, I learn from mistakes and try to improve. I learned a lot and I'm planning to do a lot of things different next time around. Thanks for watching and till next time.